My name is Sabrina. I'm 35 years old and work in a big company. I don't earn much, but I always dress neatly and keep myself tidy. I like to do my work quietly and avoid unnecessary attention. My boss, Richard, is 40 years old. He's a serious man who always wears nice suits and rarely smiles. At first, he only talked to me about work, but soon his behavior began to change. He started visiting my desk every day. Sometimes he asked about projects. Other times he just stood there, watching me. His attention made me uncomfortable, but I didn't know what to say. One afternoon, Richard told me, "Sabrina, you work very hard. You deserve more for your effort." I smiled and thanked him, but his tone made me uneasy. A few days later, he called me into his office. My heart raced as I walked in. He said, "You're one of our best employees. I think it's time we talk about your salary." I felt happy and hopeful. But then he added, "Maybe we can discuss it more over dinner." I didn't want to say no, so I agreed. At dinner, Richard looked relaxed and different from the serious man at work. He smiled and said, "You look beautiful tonight." I blushed and tried to change the subject. We talked about work for a while, but then he asked about my personal life and dreams. He told me he often felt lonely and that I was special. When he reached across the table and held my hand, I didn't pull away. After dinner, he invited me to his apartment to talk more. I hesitated, but said yes. His apartment was quiet and elegant. We sat on the sofa, and he moved closer. He kissed me, and I didn't stop him. That night, I stayed with him. The next morning, he smiled and said, "Don't worry, Sabrina. I'll take care of you." I wanted to believe him. Back at work, Richard acted normal, as if nothing had happened. Days passed, but he never mentioned the raise again. When I asked, he said, "Be patient." Later, he stopped coming to my desk. In meetings, he avoided looking at me. I felt hurt and used. Finally, I went to his office and said, "You promised me a raise." He replied coldly, "Sabrina, don't mix personal things with work." That's not professional. His words broke my heart. Soon, people in the office started whispering. I could feel their judgment. One day, HR called me for a meeting. Miss Harper, the manager, asked if I had any personal relationship with Richard. At first, I wanted to stay silent, but then I told her everything. She listened carefully and said the company would investigate. A week later, Richard was fired. HR had found messages he sent me. I thought I'd feel relieved, but life became harder. My colleagues blamed me for what happened. They whispered behind my back and treated me like a stranger. A few weeks later, I received a letter from the company saying they were ending my employment to protect the company's image. I was shocked and heartbroken. When I left the building, no one said goodbye. I felt empty and lost. That night, I cried for hours. I was angry at Richard for lying to me, but also angry at myself for trusting him. The next few weeks were difficult. I tried to find a new job, but it wasn't easy. Still, I didn't give up. Finally, I got a new job at another company. My new boss, Mr. Terry, was respectful and professional. He treated everyone equally and talked only about work. For the first time in a long while, I felt safe. I worked hard and earned respect through my dedication. I realized I didn't need anyone to take care of me. I could take care of myself. My experience with Richard hurt me deeply, but it also made me stronger. I learned to protect myself, to speak up when something feels wrong, and to value my dignity above everything else. I now know my worth, and that's the most important lesson of all. If you liked my story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.